You're welcome. You're welcome. Can you share? Can you share? Share. Share. At least I need a big number. Julius Malema. And I'm talking Mwenda. All these people in the context of prophecy. Yes. You are welcome. You are welcome. This is an urgent live broadcast. I'm still going on live at midnight. There's a midnight cry that is specifically for prayers. But now I thought I must share with the nations of Africa this quick thought and understanding of fulfilled prophecies. You see, I've been hearing people talking about prophecy. I've been hearing people talking about events that have been fulfilled, and they call it prophecy. When I talk about prophecy, I'm talking about something that I wrote years back. What I want to share with the nation, Zambia, South Africa, and all countries in Africa is that we should not celebrate on the fall of Cyril Ramaphosa. And the opposition in Zambia, they must not celebrate on the arrest of Kasonde Mwenda, the EFF opposition leader of Zambia. I have critical reasons that I want you to understand the purpose of prophecy. We have prophets that actually celebrates to say the prophecy has been fulfilled, then they celebrate. And those who celebrate on fulfilled prophecy are those who have photocopied prophecy. For example, the prophecies on political leaders started with me in 2007 when I featured on the movie TV. After I started that prophecy, then TB Joshua came on board with his prophecy of saying, I see a flag lowered in Central Africa. When he hears that, when he heard that Manawasa was sick, the same prophecy that TB Joshua did was to declare that Jacob Zuma is going to die. I've just forgotten the month and the year, but some years back now, Jacob Zuma was supposed to have died according to the prophecy of T.B. Joshua. T.B. Joshua died as a false prophet because there are many other prophecies that he said which did not link to prophetical identity. Today, we have a lot of prophets that are talking about the death of President Hakainde Hichilema, which I saw and wrote in 2007, just the day when the movie TV broadcasted my interview. I saw Sata hitting his chest saying, I'll be president no matter what it takes, because in my interview, I never mentioned that I saw Sata. Then I saw Hakainde standing the other side, says, I'll be president no matter how it will how long it will take. We are gathered on a big fire, and I was sleeping on a camp bed. So that big fire gathering was a sign that these people are heading unto death. And I warned several times about death that in 2008, I saw you on the pavement, on the veranda of State House, with a wound on the head, a wound on the chest, and a wound on the shoulder. And the wound in Bible prophecy was death. And I told him to say, if you happen to win and they fail to rig the elections, they will kill you. And he only went into State House in September. January, suffered an attempt on his life. And that attempt, I said, it was a short recovery. And for sure, 2014, he was declared dead. What is it that I'm trying to bring to you? I want you to understand that prophecy is not this that you hear around like the Fernando who call themselves prophets. And another one recently is talking about prophets from Malawi, talking about the incoming of Mundubile as prophecy. Well, it's a political analysis talking about the spirit of Lungu shall not sleep because he has never been handled well. I've talked all about these things a long time ago. They are written. The failure of burial of Edgar Lungu is written. Go on my podcast, you find that when Edgar Lungu died, I even went further to produce letters that I said, they shall not bury. And I challenge Hakainde Hichilema to say, Hakainde Hichilema, involve me in this issue so that you are able to bury Edgar Lungu. If you won't involve me, you won't be able to bury Edgar Lungu. So I want to say that the fight between Hakainde Hichilema and Kasonde Mwenda is something that Hakainde Hichilema knows that when I write something, it will come to pass. And you see, I wrote here, EF Julius Malema, South Africa, EFF Kasonde Mwenda, Zambia, President Duma Boko, Botswana. I was talking about the roadmap to economical freedom, which is the agenda that God wants all African leaders to uphold and uplift unity, love among every African nation. But alas, we have people, presidents like Hakainde Hichilema, those who accept to be used for money by Donald Trump, those who accept to be used by the Vatican. And when I'm talking like this, people think that I'm talking from nowhere. I'm talking from well-informed revelations that I saw in 1990, 2nd February, when I was only 19 years old. Today, I'm 56, looking forward to see Hakainde going into the grave as a leader, not as a former president, as a leader, if he doesn't take precautions from God's warning, because these 6 presidents who are in the grave today, I warned them. All of them, they are supposed to be alive. Even Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, if he held to the instruction that God gave him, he was going to be alive. A young man, according to the scripture, dies at 100 years. So now, what is it that brings me very urgent is that Africa is divided because presidents are fighting opposition leaders, and opposition leaders are fighting presidents. In Zambia, as I've just spoken, Kasonde Mwenda is being arrested. He's an AFF leader who accepted God's directives of calling for nationalization of natural resources. I'm still waiting for him to be prayed for, to be anointed. But as long as God's grace is upon him, he will survive whatever they will do to him, whilst he has been denied bail. May God be with him in prison. Whatever he's going to eat, whatever they are going to do him, he must survive. Thank you very much for coming on board. Share this video to everyone, this live broadcast to everyone, so that by the time I'm finishing, they'll understand the reason why I'm here. Now, let me relax. I want to speak about Cyril Ramaphosa. I want to speak about Julius Malema. What is happening in South Africa is because South Africa is following exactly route that Zambia took of rejecting warning from visions and dreams. If I can actually, maybe perhaps before I can actually go deep on how Cyril Ramaphosa rejected warning, Julius Malema rejected warning, Jacob Zuma rejected warning. Let me read something that I wrote to Hakainde Hichilema. In this book, the second volume, okay, open letter to President Dr. Levi Mwanawasa, 2008 edition, page 143. I said, the revelation is about the Pope's government in waiting reviewed unto me as supporting the Open Palm government. I met the late Open Palm leader on 28th November 2001 at Malende House after he filed his nomination at the High Court. The purpose of this meeting was to review the vision of December 1999 concerning the Open Palm party that has Vatican support. He did not hesitate to admit that fact. He said, yes, the Pope is behind me and my party. This vision of 2nd February 1990 as the last part of the race of John Paul II, Caro Attila, is explained or interpreted in the vision of December 1999, in where I saw a lot of people walking to the polling station, and the other side were vehicles trying to cross the flooded river. It was a good struggle for the vehicles to reach the polling station, as other vehicles remained stuck in the mud. Only one white open van managed to cross the flooded river. So when I was writing this revelation, it was a time that UPND was not even on a political scene, to be reckoned of being a political party that can remove a sitting government. When I saw this revelation of the Pope being behind the UPND creation, it was something that was not imagined. 2001, I approached Anderson Masuka and I told him the same thing. Today, we find that Hakainde Hichilema declared on his Facebook on the 22nd January 2022, is it 22nd February 2022, that this morning had a meeting with His Holiness the Pope, that is Pope Francis, and you had a mature discussion, and I'll look forward unto the church for guidance in how to run the nation. So that agreement was actually documented fully in this volume 1 in 2001, where I said page 133. All right, let me start from page 132. I said, last paragraph, I said, the last stroke is a revelation yet future, and it is standing to be proved by anyone who have come in contact with this book. The revelation is about the Pope's government in waiting, revealed unto me as supporting the Open Palm government. I met the Open Palm party leader on 20th November 2008 at his house after filing in his nomination at the High Court. The purpose of this meeting was to review the last stroke. When I said the last stroke, Zambia is faced with the last stroke in leadership. There are 6 presidents that have died. All are strokes. All are strokes. Because none has died of a natural death, but death that is assisted, because the Pope had to come in through this UPND Freemasonry government that doesn't need a leader who can criticize its turning side of things. Today, anyone who speaks against Hakainde Hichilema simply say that the president got lost. It makes someone to be arrested, detained, pending him to go and show them where the president got lost somewhere in Copper Belt. What an evil government. What an evil law. This is what I said. To say this government that has pledged to receive instruction on how to run the government from Vatican, it's evil. I know there are very good friends of mine that are Catholics. They are innocent. They don't know. They really don't know. They really don't know what is happening behind the closed doors, behind the dark part of the religion. Unless God reveals to you, you are going to agree with me. So I said the purpose of this meeting was to review the last stroke of the 2nd February 1990, in which I saw Dr. Kenneth Kaunda leaving power, and Chiluba. I saw him as a short man with a round face, and I asked him, who is this person? And in a vision, I received that this is Chiluba. And when Chiluba sat on the same throne-like chair, he left running. And I saw the Pope sitting on the same throne. So when the Bible tells us to say, when you see something that is unholy sitting on an unholy place, then look up. Your redemption draws nigh. So I want to say that this leadership of the Pope through the declaration of Zambia a Christian nation by Chiluba is what led Chiluba to run away from his seat. So today, what is it that I want you to understand is that I said on paragraph, the last paragraph on 133, I said, it surely takes courage, faith, and confidence in God to declare someone that he is going to be the next president from opposition. I'm very much aware of other counter revelations made by Pastor Nevas Mumba of the ANCC, and God has revealed to him that he will be the next president. This revelation has failed. And somebody else has declared that God has shown him that General Mianda is the next president. Let's wait and see who is on the Lord's side. The one on the Lord's side shall be proved true. So I challenge a prophet who actually said Brigadier General Mianda will be president. He was never be president. He ended up by being vice president. Nevas Mumba ended up by being vice president. Now is in support with a government that is putting pain on people. UPND is part of the Vatican rule. Is part of this false Christian nation declaration. There's no Christianity of such vengeance. Christianity of failure to bury a former president. Christianity of even exhuming one of his bodyguards on allegation that he has stolen from government coffers. Again today we find that Edgar Lungu is actually alleged to have been killed, alleged to have been poisoned, and been taken at night for post-mortem, and the family is being accused of corruption. That's the thing that I want to say. The politics of this nature is not Zambian and it's not African, but it is Vatican sponsored. Agree with me or refuse, you are going to see it. That whosoever in Africa where the Vatican has influence, killing of those opposed to economical slavery is the order of the things. So listen, this is the last stroke to strike the nations, for I believe that this vision shall come to pass no matter how long it takes. It shall strike and speak for itself. I took courage and confidence in 1990 for me to stand and tell people in a church meeting in Maken, as I foretold the next president, I saw him in a vision, that a short man with a round face, and his name was Chiluba, and replaced Kaunda. But due to people's lack of confidence, they actually were laughing at me. Those who have this book, I sold this book in 2001. I sold this book to those who wanted to support the ministry. They were buying, and for the prophets of Barack Obama, the rise of Barack Obama as Joseph on Egypt, who was to be succeeded by the new king, who it definitely came to pass. When I was also waiting to see that new king, I didn't even know him by the name of Donald Trump. And I prophesied that he will stop aid, and he has done exactly like that. So let me check for this book. My prophecies are written in this book. Okay? The rescue operation, President Barack Obama, pig pen predicament. So even President Barack Obama, I saved these books at the embassy in Zambia. 3 of them for Obama before he left power. And nothing has changed. I've never re-edited these books. I've kept them in their original form. Sorry for that. I've kept these books in their original forms. I've not edited any statement. and I stand to be proved. Even if you can take on AI to tell you when they were printed, perhaps AI can do so. They'll give you the date and the time of the printings of this book to say nothing that which is happening today, it was told before it happened in these 3 books. So now, if you have not listened, I'm saying that Hakainde Chilema is riding his anger on wrong people. He must ride it on the right people. Prophecy has been proven. Now, Jacob Zuma rejected warning. He left power because of the same pressure that has been mounted on Cyril Ramaphosa. My emails, my 2 emails where I kept all the communications between me and Jacob Zuma and other presidents and other critical issues that are in those emails, they were closed because of my communication to the president, perhaps Cyril Ramaphosa at the time when he just came into power during COVID-19, because I was opposed to COVID-19. They were also closed because of my court battles with the Standing Committee for Refugees, or the Minister of Home Affairs, and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees for not attending to my physical security consent. Then I ended up going to the High Court, and I find that my emails have been hacked. The time when I was arrested, when I came out, I found that the numbers of my phones were changed, given to different people's names, and they're not being used, and I cannot recover them simply because they don't want me to open my emails, because my emails contains a lot of information. But thank God, there are some few information that I kept very separate, and not only in the email. I have those few, and even these books, it was very difficult for me to discover them. Thank God that by God's power, they were reserved in another emails that I shared to other people. So now, I want to say, I wrote something that I want to quote concerning Jacob Zuma, because people think that when I write a book where I talked about Jacob Zuma, where is it? I have a lot of books here. I think I've put it somewhere. I said, in the preface of, I think I have to look for this book, because it makes the part of my coming here. But anyway, we can read it. We can read the letter on Facebook. I'll ask you to open my Facebook. When you open my Facebook, you read what I said. Just a minute. Let me get the book. Let me get the book. Sorry, here it is. I have it. This is the book which I gave the prophecy that contains names such as Julius Malema, Jacob Zuma, and Cyril Ramaphosa. Everyone who knows what is happening in South Africa. Yesterday morning, I had a revelation that confirmed the fulfillment of what I wrote in here. And I wrote the email to President Cyril Ramaphosa, and I shared it to Julius Malema. I shared the same to Jacob Zuma. And I want to say that what I wrote is what I want to speak now. And to me, the Constitutional Court judgment is a celebration to those that want to go to union building. But South Africa is losing the roadmap to economical freedom, because Julius Malema, as the economical freedom fighter, may not make it if Cyril Ramaphosa moves out prematurely, because the cases that are pending against him, they can be reinforced by a person that is going to take over from Cyril Ramaphosa, and that he doesn't know. This thing of fighting Zambia went through, and I remember President Kaunda actually he was arrested by Chiluba. Sorry for disturbance, I was just setting the fan, it's cold here. So the heater. So now I want to say that Kaunda was arrested by Chiluba on allegation of corruption, and perhaps we talk about Black Mamba to overthrow the government and so forth. A lot of allegations. What I warned in that volume 1, when Joseph put a cup in the brothers' bag when they went to buy maize in Egypt as a means to bring them into Egypt. And the plan was good, but it was bonded. The plan for Julius Malema to fight Cyril Ramaphosa, it is good, but it is bondage. He sees it good because he sees an opportunity to become a leader without knowing the forces that are against him. Under Chiluba, change laws block Kaunda from coming back retirement into politics. They kept on until they declare him a foreigner because they feared him. Why they feared him? Because the hour failed to provide the true change. Hakainde Hichilema today is arresting people because he fears the failures that he has demonstrated based on his promises. So today, I'm reading what I prophesied. Maybe let me start by reading what I prophesied on Zuma from this book. Can I get it direct here? Let me just use the laptop. I said, the call by President Jacob Zuma of South Africa for a new lending system to Africa is a step forward to setting up of the new system the new system towards the pig pen predicament. What is the pig pen predicament? It's Obama. See change that we can believe in. To unite Africa with America through trade agreements. This is what has led today Obama is faced with the allegations of behind CIA fake reports that criticize Donald Trump, and he's facing arrest. The pig pen predicament prophecy being fulfilled. Sometimes these leaders, they may not be arrested and be detained for life in jail, but they'll be critically monitored and caged. Their resources will be removed from them, like the way Chiluba was stripped off of his immunity, stripped off of his wealth. So the arrest can come in different way. So I said, this is what I said concerning the fate of lack of resources and the dependence on donor aid. After privatization shall come to its close, a new system shall rise that shall enslave the government through debt. I wrote this in volume 3, as I quoted the Rescue Operation Airport Trap, 21 Hours, volume 1, page 22, 1st April 2001. This is found on the volume 3, page 87, where I talked about Jacob Zuma. To say Jacob Zuma meeting with the Queen of England, where Jacob Zuma said, let me read something again continuously. On page what? Page 158. On page 157, last paragraph to 150 to 158, let me say, I know this prophet of pigpen predicament shall not serve as a warning to President Obama. This shall make him to call for my seizure for predicting the pigpen predicament. I know the plot to arrest Jeremiah shall be done to me too, because I will be perceived as an enemy of people's dreams and of prosperity. This prophets of pigpen slavery shall not spare anyone. We are all involved. The warning is, if anyone allows himself to be deceived by political doctrine of globalization, they shall find themselves in the pigpen predicament, fighting the revealed word of God. Yes, I said, this prophecy of pigpen predicament against Obama, it shall call for my seizure. Seizure, that means for my arrest. And I was arrested on allegation that I've trespassed at the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. Whilst I'm a refugee, it's very impossible and not realistic. But let me continue to the point that I wanted you to understand concerning President Jacob Zuma. I said, I pit President Jacob Zuma for his call for transformation of global financial system. Does President Zuma really know what he is talking about and the effects on globalization on a nation and on a local small-scale business? Does President Zuma realize that the third world countries products and the West cannot compete on the same market, as this trade is attached to a bias condition to access financial aid. He said, a critical lesson from the current crisis is the need for transformed global financial reform of the so-called Bretton Woods institution, IMF and World Bank. Now, Africa and other developed countries, developing world leaders will need to carefully monitor progress towards the goal, as well as other objectives laid out in the G20 communique, such as pledges from major developed countries to meet Millennium Goals, shun additional protectionist measures, IMF and World Bank lending resources. President of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, the Post, Zambia, Friday, June 12, 2009. I was quoting what Jacob Zuma said. Jacob Zuma was appealing for increased lending from IMF and World Bank. But I said, does he know what he was talking about? For him to talk of receiving lending from IMF, World Bank, does Jacob Zuma knew? He didn't know. These are the same institutions that are funding xenophobia today in South Africa. These are the same institutions that are bringing allegations against him. These are the same institutions that are calling for the arrest of Cyril Ramaphosa. These are the same institutions that are using Julius Malema against these former leaders. And they are promising him to succeed in his leadership. So this was a prophetic warning. I said on page 158, this call by President Jacob Zuma is suicidal and is not different from what I referred to the Canaanites as Africans and the Egyptians as Americans who went to ask Joseph as President Obama today for more grain in financial aid because money failed to meet their daily needs due to famine predicament. And Zambia is not spared from photocopy prophets. This prophet from Malawi that is talking about the rise of Munduvile is talking about Zambia money shall fail. And it is exactly what I've just quoted here. Not only here, in many other books of mine, I've talked about money failure due to economical slavery, which is a means to control us. So now, what is it that I wanted us to learn from here is that when I say that prophecy is not a manufactured thing, when you see that Munduvile, the opposition president of Zambia, who is almost too famous for anyone to predict that you'll be president. So I don't need a vision for me to say Munduvile will be president. I only need to say that God has not revealed to me. Of course, he revealed to me that I was actually cleaning a dish in a car where I was loading his iron sheets. The iron sheets maybe is to build him the state house, but it was not clear given to me. And I'm still waiting for Munduvile. Let me just drink some water. I'm still waiting for Munduvile to seek anointment. Then I will physically say, go ahead and be president, because I know that he's not going to go to the grave. But if he goes under the similar circumstances of Michael Sata saying, no matter what it takes, I'll be president, without seeking God's anointment, I have no good news for any president that will take over from HH without seeking God's blessing. I have no good news. And the same applies to South Africa. I have no good news for Malema if he wants to stand without seeking anointment. I have no good news for Cyril Ramaphosa if you want to reject the warning, because Cyril Ramaphosa, I wrote in this book, let me read as I close. Page 12 of this book. Allow me to take a bit of some minutes to read. This was based on a vision that I had on 1st December 2022. I wrote this letter I placed this email to President Cyril Ramaphosa on my Facebook. No editing. What I saw in 2022, it made me to give the title of this book to say, The Roadmap to Economical Freedom. And I just quoted one of the posts for Julius Malema. You can see Julius Malema here is brought by Cyril Ramaphosa in an imaginary, and that he must kneel to Donald Trump, and some of his EFF members looking on this picture. So he says, Julius Cecilio Malema, just imagine me, they are dreaming with their graphic designers, meaning that the graphic designers, they are imagining that Julius Malema will kneel to Donald Trump. I agree, Julius Malema cannot kneel to Donald Trump. But Julius Malema needs spiritual guidance for him to understand this battle. Because those that have not sought the spiritual guidance, they end up losing the blessing of being leaders. These people who are behind assassinations of African leaders, they use us against each other. I appealed in this book that these leaders, they must sit down and form one thing so that the enemy cannot bring Ramaphosa down, cannot bring Jacob Zuma down, cannot even bring Julius Malema down. Let me read. Open letter to South African President, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa. Reminder for rejection of visions and dreams. Dear His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, how are you? I'm sure you and former President Jacob Zuma have a tough time ahead of you. And this is the tough time that I saw for Cyril Ramaphosa. The Concord Court, the highest court in the land, ordered yesterday that Cyril Ramaphosa must be subjected for inquiry on the issue of Palapala. That parliament stopped against him. So now, this case requires him at certain point to step down so that the investigation cannot be interfered. And the likelihood, based on the vision that I had Esther morning before the judgment, he was climbing on a van at the back on top of luggages, and family members were there on the exit from Union Building. As he ordered his people to say, hey, can you take care of this prophet? He might steal something here so that he comes out of Union Building. Then I wanted to say, me who brought him a message that I want to warn him, to save him from leaving Union Buildings, but he suspects me to say I can steal something. What can I steal? Because I went there walking. So I want to say that when a president becomes a president, they think they stop to become human beings. They become superhuman beings when they are just as equal as anyone else. and equal as anyone else before God. All what they are supposed to do is to humble themselves, listen to God when he speaks to them. So I said, the truth is that you both rejected warnings that led me to be arrested at UNHCR offices in Brooklyn, Pretoria for trespass at UNHCR in May 2021. My protests call against the protection officer at UNHCR who needed me to pay bribes for resettlement. I said I cannot pay bribes, and I'm not for sale, and I'm not desiring to go to America, but I'm desiring to be in a place where I'm not in the frontier of the original of the country of my origin, but that was being misplaced. Thinking that when someone says I'm not safe, he wants to go to America. To do what? So this comes after I submitted my petition in August 2020 for protection against persecution in the country of Islam. You ignored my appeal and you gave me to be accused of mental illness because of visions and dreams that speaks the future before it sprang forth. I said his rejection is the one, if he took serious my petition, my warning, and where I requested him to speak to Edgar Lungu, if it was safe for me to return home, if I can be allowed to have freedom of worship. But instead of him taking that, he just took me like nothing. But the prophecy that I said he has tough time ahead of him, it is this time that he has. So who is true? I'm a nobody. But when it comes to God speaking, he speaks through me. My emails account have been hacked, and all correspondence starting with then President Jacob Zuma in regard to my request to pray for former President Nelson Mandela in 2013. I warned former President Jacob Zuma of his arrest and current situation, that there was no peace in his going. I made the same warning to you and asked you to allow me to pray for victims of COVID-19 in March 2020 if they existed in the media, as the media reported. The request led my email account to you being blocked, and today all my emails were hacked and the emails deleted from my 2 different accounts, and that had correspondence to RSA presidents, UNHCR, Home Affairs, National Prosecutor Authority, the High Court, etc., in regard to my application to seek protection from other countries before the High Court due to persecution in the country of Islam as a frontier to my country of origin. The Minister of Home Affairs and the UNHCR as respondents were ordered to submit a report in regard to my persecution by Judge Msimang AJ of the High Court in Pretoria. Instead of being honest, they submitted a private report with allegation of paranoid schizophrenia against the gift of prophecy. I'm just going through this letter quickly, but I want to say that when I was appealing to Cyril Ramaphosa, I annexed letters of prophecy regarding Edgar Changwalungu. And I actually referred also to the incoming President Hakainde Hichilema before Hakainde Hichilema was where he is. I wrote those letters in 2012. If George Chela is alive and George Chela is around, he can even confirm George Chela to say, I told him to say, Hakainde is coming after you. Then he insulted me heavily. And he told me that he has friends here in South Africa that can look after me because I look malnutritioned. So he is there. So my prophecies are not something to joke or to play with, because I don't just dream for the sake of dreaming. My dreaming is to allow Africa to examine the God that uses me. my writings is to put in black and white so that you can test to say what God has spoken. It doesn't need to edit or to give an excuse. It is exactly as it is written, it shall be fulfilled. And the primary purpose of my visions and dreams, which I want everyone watching me to understand, is Africa must unite. Africa is being divided by this democracy. This is a fake democracy. And I feel angered. If it was my personal country or countries, I was going to manhandle people who talk about the democracy, when this democracy is the one that is leading us into economical slavery. We need dictators that dictate right things, that do things according to people's demands. Democrats, when people need the roads, Democrats has to go to parliament and debate and even say that we are going to put road tomorrow or next year or 10 years and nothing will come. And people enjoy democracy even when it does not bring anything new, but only promises which does not come to pass. So I want to say that when I was writing this, I was writing in order to help the presidents of South Africa to understand how God communicates to his servants. So let me continue. I mentioned actually arrested because of visions and dreams. It is the doctrine of democracy that is a clear project of the Vatican. Democracy was founded by Pope John Paul II. That democracy that combines politics and religion is the Pope's architecture. It is his design of politics that has led to our falling today. There is a thin line between politics and religion. As the sun and the moon, that's a difference. Politics represented by the moon, in a sense that it receives light from the sun. As religious people, we give instructions to political leaders. Political leaders cannot give instructions to God. Simple as that. If I have to be a politician, I cease to become an evangelist. I cease to become a prophet. I cease to become anything, even a pastor. I cease. Because as a political, I get instruction not from God, but from the world. But as a religious man, I get instruction from God. So these two, they cannot match. When they match, it means that what prophets predicted of Revelation chapter 13, verse 11, the beast that has two horns like a lamb, spoke like a dragon, three characters. When politics, which is the beast, Christianity, which is represented by the two horns of a lamb representing Christ, when these two, politics and Christianity, meet, they speak like a dragon. It is Satanism. So when you look at the Hakainde Chilema leadership, it is actually full-blown Satanism. Freemasons, they are free to parade themselves, to donate a classroom, to do whatever they want, even allowing homosexuality free, then in a country that is called Christian nation. I want to say that when let me just leave that. Let me come here. When this failed, they arranged for my arrest and forged the medical report using the lowest court to overturn my appeal to the Constitutional Court, and now my life is threatened with death and my children are kept in shelters. So the main thing that I went further to explain is that this message is a call for you to seek God's face now, or else you will be in the same cell with the former President Jacob Zuma. If you don't attend to my situation in protection of God's ministry, I was actually referring to, it's a letter, mind you, I'm reading a letter to Cyril Ramaphosa, where I said this message is a call for you to seek God's face now, or else you'll be in the same cell with the former President Jacob Zuma. If you don't attend to my situation in protection of God's ministry, that can help you to understand that you eat and work and plan against others with sellouts. And after using you to betray Jacob Zuma, they have betrayed you. It is not too late. God can rescue. Jacob Zuma was arrested for defying court orders. And it is the Constitutional Court that ruled that Jacob Zuma must be arrested, and he was sentenced and he served jail. It is the same Constitutional Court today that has ruled Cyril Ramaphosa must face the music of Pala investigations. The impeachment on Cyril Ramaphosa is prophetical. The Constitutional Court, Cyril Ramaphosa, and everything that is happening around it, the Constitutional Court is found between the rock and the wall, because these allegations are trapped from political circles, and when they go to the Constitutional Court, they find the law, and the Constitutional Court upholds the law. Nothing wrong with their upholding of the law. But what is wrong is the political governance that does not want to listen to God's call. Is the political system that doesn't want to accept warning. That is what is wrong. What did I say? Let me go somewhere where I can quickly finish off. I'll jump some few paragraphs. I said, what you don't know, that your enemies are my enemies, in the sense that the enemies of every African leader, Pan-Africanist, they are opposed to true worship based on revelations against the Antichrist. I said the enemies of Cyril Ramaphosa are my enemies. The enemies of every Pan-African leader is an enemy to my ministry of visions and dreams. But the prophets like Siawan, the prophets like Fernando, the prophets like Praise Whatever, those who prophesize, even Bushiri, those who prophesize prosperity, there'll be money tomorrow in your pocket, you are going to receive money, you are going to do this. They have nothing to do to expose political fallouts from scripture, like the Antichrist, like Democrats. They are even funded. They can even be found in big houses and claiming that they are houses, but they are being funded by the same system that needs protection. For us, we are funded by humble people who are actually like widows, who are struggling also to find life, who are struggling to get food. They are the people who fund us. They fund the truth because the truth is hard to be accepted by those who enjoy political protection. because they get their power from Satanism. Because this Freemason is a global movement that wants to rule the whole world. And every leader who is not linked to Freemason, it's very hard for him to attain that leadership. They are told to drink blood in order to get famous. They are told to sacrifice in order for them to be loved. All that is nothing to a leader that fears God. I told Kasonde Mwenda not to align himself with anyone who sponsors him from the West, because the end result, you have to join Freemason. I've warned about Mundubire not to align himself with those people and the churches that would fund him, because you find control. I warned even Julius Malema through the book that I wrote, EFF, Julius Malema, United States of Africa, in one of the volumes, the 12 volumes that I've written, Open Letter, Shocking Truth, Open Letter to President Hakainde Chilema. I addressed one book specifically for Julius Malema, that his leadership has to be non-negotiable with the West. And I like that stance that he has taken. But alas, his fight against Cyril Ramaphosa, Palapala business, Jacob Zuma, bring the money back for the window for Kandla House. Of course, he doesn't understand that the four of these people on this allegation is not a blessing to his leadership, because the sword that he uses is the sword that shall give him downfall. And this is what I wrote. Today, EFF President Julius Malema can be used to bring down both you and Zuma. When he is done with everyone who is defending South African natural resources, of course, some they say Cyril Ramaphosa is not defending the resources because he's already rich, he's already in bed with those from the West. They are enjoying the companies. Of course, it might not be, but the moves that is taking, that the footstep of Jacob Zuma, who wanted to restore. If there was a president South Africa had ever, is Jacob Zuma, who wanted to restore sanity in politics. He wanted to remove, of course, I condemned him for the core of Britain institutions, as I'm condemning Julius Malema, his core for Palapala and the Kandla. It doesn't mean that he is a wrong person, he's a right person, but there are certain things that they don't see the impact and the results of their fight. So that's why they need spiritual guidance. So lack of spiritual guidance to Julius Malema, it will lead him in the same fight, same allegation, which I prophesied here. The primary ones are already fulfilled. I said, when he's done with everyone who is defending South African natural resources, the frog that has seen Zambian leaders down to their graves before time will also bring the South African hopeful incoming president Julius Malema down too. I saw in a vision, and I wrote it on my Facebook, that Julius Malema will be president one day. The time I didn't know, but I was shown that Julius Malema will be president. And I'm not saying based on the popularity that he has gained. The first time I came in South Africa, 2012, 2013, when I went to 10 Harris Hansa House at Marshalltown, I said to one of the women I know by the name of Lebu, I said, this young man when he broke, immediately when he broke out from ANC, I said, he will be president. I said, he will be president. If that woman Lev, she's still around, she can even confirm with me on my comments on Facebook. I can actually present her to testify. I said, he will be president. And he's not yet president. And I know that he will be president. But if he doesn't humble himself to take precautions, what can bring Cyril Ramaphosa down is the same thing that shall bring him down. How did I say it? I said, I don't know how. Let me repeat this statement. I said, the frog that has seen Zambian leaders to their grave before time will bring the South African hopeful incoming president Julius Malema too. I don't know how, but it can be through assassination or corruption allegation until they bring a person who will sell South Africa assets in terms of natural resources, precious stones, and call for partnership in creation of globalization against God's word. I'm praying for Malema not to fail to see God's face in his call for a United States of Africa, and for him to see you, Cyril Ramaphosa, as a brother. So today, Julius Malema is faced with allegations of discharging a gun in public, allegation of hate speech, and he is also connected to 7 companies that have been recommended to Mutlanga Commission to say, CC, Juju, CC, what. I've said in one of my podcasts to say, I'm not seeing where Julius Malema is connected, where indeed is connected, but the mentioning of Julius Malema in a phone call, in a phone conversation, that Julius Malema is also talking to one of the general, the police general, it means he's ABCD. I don't understand. I'll understand later. But what is it that I'm trying to say is that these allegations, this fight against Cyril Ramaphosa, instead of you being brothers, it won't help South Africa, but it will bring South Africa back to colonial masters. The vision that I had yesterday morning, before the announcement of the judgment, I saw someone who stood very light, straight like Mandela, but he was speechless. In the same manner, I saw the Pope when he was supporting the Open Palm Party. He was just giving signals without talking. That man was not talking. Then I said, how will he lead? I was sure this is the one who is going to take over from Cyril Ramaphosa. I said, how is he going to lead without talking? And he looks like he is Mandela, but Mandela died. And he looks to be so old, he cannot manage to rule the country. So now, I went to tell in a vision, Cyril Ramaphosa, that vision, so that I help him to withstand the pressure. But alas, he rejected me in the vision. And he actually cited me in his page to say, please, can you take care of this person? He might still here. See him out. When I went to Union Buildings to save him, a warning and saving letter, I was told to go out. Perhaps God is telling me that South Africa has rejected my warning. This rejection is for a purpose. You know, as a prophet, when you are rejected, you don't force matters. You don't force matters, but you only pray for the best to those that have rejected. So that when they see things happening, economical slavery, when they see it happening, then they remember that we were taught. Perhaps it's too early for Africa to unite because they have not yet suffered enough. As I said to one of those people who are criticizing me when I was at United Nations at Brooklyn there, when I went in a taxi to town, they said, you people, why do you want to come to South Africa? Every foreigner there in South Africa. I said, the time is coming. South Africans also will start running for green pastures in other countries. Never, never, never. Today, the rand cannot buy in the similar manner it used to buy when I arrived here in 2012, 2013, 2014. A 1,500 was filling maybe 2 trolleys. But today, a 1,500, it cannot even fill a plastic bag in ShopRite, which is a sign that economical slavery is looming. What is it that I can speak so that you can understand? I'm telling you to say, African leaders must be united. African leaders must fear God. African leaders must subject themselves to the 10 Commandments. African leaders must realize that God created the sun, moon, and stars to give us signs for days, for months, for years. And the weekly cycle that is being in government, it must be known that it's a false weekly cycle. The true weekly cycle is the crescent moon is the first day of every week, of every first week of every month. When you talk about month, it's a word that was driven from moon. So every moon cycle with the 28 days of moonlight, 4 weeks. We have 4 Sabbaths there. The first quarter moon is a Sabbath. Full moon is a Sabbath. Quarter moon is a Sabbath. Last crescent moon is a Sabbath. All are 7 days, 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. I'm not talking about that here, but it's just a guide. If you need more details, meet me every day on the midnight, 24 hours. I'm having a live broadcasting every midnight, unless something just disturbs. I'm always there. And also you can join me on my WhatsApp group. And when you meet me from the Midnight Cry, you will learn more about the true Sabbath, which is the last call for a remnant church chosen by God, according to Revelation chapter 12. Thank you very much. Give me a message on Facebook. Give me your number. My number is +27 9566 6363. 27 9566 6363. Give me a message. I'll add you to the WhatsApp group so that we can talk. Let me summarize for those that have just joined, in case they wanted to know why I'm here. I've been talking about the fight between President Hakainde Hichilema and the EFF leader Kasonde Mwenda, who I understand he has been denied bail pending being taken to the place where he said in his comments that the President Hakainde Hichilema got lost. So I don't see the reason why he can be taken to a place where he alleged that the president got lost. And I don't see a case on that statement, because many presidents, they have been ridiculed, ill represented, insulted, but they don't arrest those people. It's politics. But in Zambia, politics now, you cannot say a single word against the president. You are arrested. So that arrest is not Zambian leadership style. It's the Vatican. That's a revelation I'm giving you. If you refuse that revelation, those who know about the mark of the beast, it is Zambia, a Christian nation, fits precisely on Revelation chapter 13, verse 11. The beast is political power. The beast had 2 horns like a lamb. 2 horns is power, which is of a lamb. That is Christianity. This interpretation, you find it in Revelation chapter 17. So the third identity, this beast that has 2 horns like a lamb, it spoke like a dragon. So a dragon stands for Satan. That's the reason why Zambia today is clearly led by a Freemason. The gloves that Hakainde, the white gloves that he puts, Hakainde, is a sign that he's a Freemason. I remember Masuka confessed of being Freemason. If my memory tells me very well, even Hakainde Chilema either confessed that he was a white-collar Freemason and said that white-collar Freemason is not harmful. It is there to help the community. Those words, I still remember critical that they were said by Hakainde Chilema, justifying Freemason. So now, today, I'm saying that Zambia is under Freemason government, and the Vatican is founder of this Freemasonry. The word Catholic, it's universal religions, different ways. Even Muslim, the one they actually fight by identifying it as a terrorist religion. It was created from Vatican. Divisions, creating divisions among one people that are created in the image of God, in order to bring himself as a man of sin, as a man of peace, whilst is a man of sin. I want to say this again. I talked about Cyril Ramaphosa, the vision that I had, the warning in this book, where I said, I saw you'll be in the same prison with Jacob Zuma. Julius Malema will be used to bring you down, to bring Jacob Zuma, and eventually also Julius Malema will be brought down. So meaning that these 3, I predicted about it through God's revelation. I wrote it in 2022, saying that the 3 are warned by God. They must be together so that leadership can change from the ANC to EFF. Maybe after 2 terms, it must also go back. This issue of having 1,500 opposition political parties is from the devil himself, the Antichrist, Vatican, democracy. Politics must be decent. Otherwise, I recommend that we should go back to kingship, so that presidents They can be prime ministers. In South Africa needs just a prime minister, Zambia a prime minister, Mozambique a prime minister, Angola a prime minister, Tanzania a prime minister. Perhaps I recommended already Ibrahim Traoré to be our king. He has fought. He won against France. He won against America. But we are betraying Ibrahim Traoré because we don't want to unite with Muslims. They've put a religion barrier between people of the same blood and the same skin, putting a religion barrier so that we cannot unite. I tend to agree to some certain extent to say religion has been used to colonize us, but it doesn't mean that that religion is fake. There is no fake religion without original. As it is, there's no fake US without the original US. When something is fake, that means if you only know what is fake, it means you haven't yet come across the truth. So today, some people end up saying that there is no Christ. It's just a Western religion. Christ is not a white man; he's a black person, born from the Middle East there, brought up in Egypt, in Africa, nowhere near Europe or America. So those who put him as a white man on your TV, they are just deceiving you. He's not a white man. Therefore, those who tell you to say Jesus Christ is not a reality, we better go to our ancestors. They have not seen the power of Jesus Christ. I've seen the power of the name Jesus Christ, raising me from the dead, healing me from dangerous illnesses, even poison. I've ate poison like anything. In prison, I survived prison beating, which was aimed to kill me. I've seen people dying in prison, but God removed me there. Went to Viscopis. I've eaten drugs that must have made me confused, so that they confirm what they was even telling my wife. The police officer said, you cannot talk to your husband. He doesn't know what he's saying. He can't, when you ask him to say, what is this? What is the matchbox? He doesn't know what is the matchbox. My wife says, no, I was talking to my husband this morning on a phone. How can you say that he doesn't know anything? No, how did you talk to him? Where did he find the phone? He says there are social workers in prison then, Cosmapur, that gave him the phone. So now they were so shocked. They wanted to make sure that I get crazy. But whatever they gave me to eat, it only affected me with running stomach. But God kept me alive. And that's the reason why I know that He lives. May God bless you. Thank you very much. If there was a question, I was going to answer. There's someone here says, my family, God bless you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's someone here says, good evening. Say, thank you, thank you. Yes, this one is royal, whatever, royal opinion. Saying, Mr. Masuka, I'm very grateful for your greetings. Say hi. Very grateful, very grateful. May God bless you for being with me. And to those that are going to meet me at Midnight Cry, we are not talking politics. We are talking real issues, family issues. We are not talking about churches. We are talking about the current call for family gathering, family churches, family marriages, to establish the true church of God. May God bless you. Amen.